Okay, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name is Lizzie. Today we are going to actually read the next part at the end of the passage by Rudyard Kipling. This story is based in actually 1890, and we are going to read the next part. Hopefully we'll be getting to the scary part soon, because the first parts are never really that scary. They're just more like knowledge, which you really need to know to understand it. And what are your chances, old man? Said Mortram. Don't know, don't care much. But I've sent the letter in. What are you doing with yourself generally? Sitting under a table in the tent and spitting on the sextant to keep it cool, said the man of the survey. Washing my eyes to avoid ophthalmium. Oh, if I could talk today. Ophthalmia. Sorry, I cannot talk today. I had a long day, which I shall certainly get, and trying to make a sub-surveyor understand that an error of 5 degrees in an angle isn't quite so small as it looks. I'm altogether alone, ye know, and shall be till the end of the hot weather. Hummels, the lucky man, said Loundus. I keep saying Lounders. If I said Lounders at any point, I mean Loundus. My bad. Flinging himself into a long chair. He has an actual roof, torn as to the ceiling cloth, but still a roof over his head. He sees one train daily. He can get beer and soda water and ice 'em with when God is good. He has books, pictures. They were torn from the Graphic and the Society of the excellent subcontractor Jevons. Besides the pleasure of receiving us weekly. Hummel smiled grimly. Yes, I'm the lucky man, I suppose. Jevons is luckier. How not? Yes, went out last Monday. By his own hand, said Spurtstow quickly, hinting the suspicion that was in everybody's mind. There was no cholera near Hummel's section. Even fever gives a man at least a week's grace, and sudden death generally implied self-slaughter. I judged no man this weather, said Hummel. He had a touch of the sun, I fancy, for last week, after you fellows had left. He came into the veranda and told me that he was going home to see his wife in Market Street, Liverpool. That evening I got the apothecary in to look at him, and we tried to make him lie down. After an hour or two he rubbed his eyes and said he believed he had had a fit. Hoped he hadn't said anything rude. Jevons had a great idea of bettering himself socially. He was very like Chucks in his language. Well, then he went to his own bungalow and began cleaning a rifle. He told the servant that he was going to shoot Buck in the morning. Naturally, he fumbled with the trigger and shot himself through the head accidentally. The apothecary sent in a report to my chief, and Jevons is buried somewhere out there. I'd have wired to you, Spurtstow, if you could have done anything. You're a queer chap, said Mottram. If you killed the man yourself, you couldn't have been more quiet about the business. Good Lord, what does it matter, said Hummel calmly. I've got to do a lot of this overseeing work in addition to my own. I'm the only person that suffers. Jevons is out of it by pure accident, of course. But out of it. The apothecary was going to write a long screed on suicide. Trust a babu to drivel when he gets the chance. Why didn't you let it go in as suicide? Said Loundus. No direct proof. A man hasn't many privileges in his country, but he might at least be allowed to mishandle his own rifle. Besides, some day I may need a man to smother up an accident to myself. Live and let live, die and let die. You take a pill, said Spurstow, who had been watching Hummel's white face narrowly. Take a pill and don't be an ass. That sort of talk is Skittles. Now I want some candy. I want some freaking Skittles. Pretty sure that's not how they meant it, but they said Skittles. And now I want Skittles. Anyhow, suicide is shirking your work. If I were a job 10 times over, I should be so interested in what was going on to happen next that I'd say stay on and watch. Ah, I've lost that curiosity, said Hummel. Liver out of order, said Lowndes feelingly. No, can't sleep, that's worse. By Jove it is, said Mottram. I'm that way every now and then, and the fit has to wear itself out. What do you take for it? Nothing. What's the use? I haven't had 10 minutes sleep since Friday morning. Poor chap, Spurstow. You ought to attend to this, said Mottram. Now you mention it, your eyes are rather grumpy and swollen. Spurstow, still watching Hummel, laughed lightly. I'll patch him up later on. It is too hot. Do you think to go for a ride? Where to? Said Lowndes, wearily. We shall have to go away at 8, and there'll be riding enough for us then. I hate a horse when I have to use him as a necessity. Oh, heavens, what is there to do? Begin Weist again at chick points. A chick is supposed to be 8 shillings, and a gold more on the rub, said Spurstow promptly. Poker, a month's pay all round for the pool, no limit, and 50 rupee raises. Somebody would be broken before we got up, said Lowndes. Can't say that it would give me any pleasure to break any man in this company, said Mottram. There isn't enough excitement in it, and it's foolish. He crossed over to the worn and battered little Campiano wreckage of a married household that had once held the bungalow and opened the case. It's used up long ago, said Hummel. The servants have picked it to pieces. The piano was indeed hopelessly out of order, but Mottram managed to bring the rebellious notes into a sort of agreement, and there rose from a ragged keyboard something that might once have been the ghost of a popular music hall song. The men in the long chairs turned with evident interest as Morton banged the more lustily. That's good, said Lowndes. By Jove, the last time I heard that song was in '79, or thereabouts, just before I came out. Came out of where? The nut ward, because this is what this book sounds like already. Ignore that little squeaking. If you hear that, I ended up with a stray cat with kittens, and they are very squeaky. I'll show you them later in the next video. I'll try and show you all of them. There's only 3. It's Luna. She's the only girl. She's like this little calico color, but the majority of her is white. Then we have Luca and Landon. They're identical twins, and they're gray and white. They're the cutest little things, and their mother, Lillian. Lillian's just a little sugar bee. She's mine. I'm keeping her, hopefully, if I can. Said Spurstow with pride. I was home in '80, and he mentioned a song of the streets popular at that date. Mottram executed it roughly. Lowndes criticized and volunteered emendations. Mottram dashed to another ditty, not of the music hall character, and made as if to rise. Sit down, said Hummel. I didn't know that you had any music in your composition. Go on playing until you can't think of anything more. I'll have that piano tuned up before you come again. Play something festive. Very simple indeed were the tunes to which Mottram's art and the limitations of the piano could give effect, but the men listened with pleasure, and in the pauses talked altogether of what they had seen or heard when they were last at home. A dense dust storm sprung up outside and swept roaring over the house. enveloping it in the choking darkness of midnight. But Motrin continued unheeding, and the crazy tinkle reached the ears of the listeners above the flapping of the tattered ceiling cloth. In the silence after the storm, he glided from the more directly personal songs of Scotland, half humming them as he played into the evening hymn. "Sunday," said he, nodding his head. "Go on. Don't apologize for it," said Spurstow. Hummel laughed long and righteously. "Play it by all means. You're full of surprise today. I didn't know you had such a gift of finished sarcasm. How does that thing go?" Motrin took up the tune. "Too slow by half. You miss the note of gratitude," said Hummel. "It ought to go to the grasshopper's polka. This way," and he chanted prestissimo. Sorry, I am part French and part German, but I cannot pronounce that word. I lived in Kentucky all my life, and partly in Ohio, but I cannot pronounce French words. I was not around my French heritage very well. I could pronounce German words for the most part okayly, but I was around people that spoke German, and still am. I have friends that speak it fluently. So, that's okay, but when it comes to French, French is my dad's side. I don't see that side. So, I don't. But I'm pretty sure it's pronounced prestissimo. If I can, prestissimo. I still pronounce it weird. I give up. "Glory to thee, my God, this night for all the blessings of the light." That shows we really feel our blessings. How does it go on? "If in the light I sleepless lie, my soul with sacred thoughts supply. May no ill dreams disturb my rest. Quicker, Motrin, or powers of darkness me molest." "Bah, what an old hypocrite you are. Don't be an ass," said Lowndes. "You are at full liberty to make fun of anything else you like, but leave the hymn alone. It's associated in my mind with the most sacred recollections. Summer evening in the country, stained glass window, light going out, and you and she jamming your heads together over one hymn book, said Motrin. "Yes, and a fat old cockchafer hitting you in the eye when you walked home. Smell of hay and a moon as big as a bandbox sitting on the top of a haycock. Bats, roses, milk, and midges. Midges? I'm really bad at pronouncing stuff," said Lowndes. "Also mothers. I can just recollect my mother singing me to sleep with that when I was a little chap," said Spurstow. The darkness had fallen on the room. They could hear Hummel squirming in his chair. "Consequently," said he testily, "you sing it when you are 7 fathom deep in hell. It's an insult to the intelligence of the deity to pretend we are anything but tortured rebels." "Take 2 pills," says Spurstow. "That's tortured liver." The usual placid Hummel is in a vile bad temper. "I'm sorry for his coolies tomorrow," said Landis, as the servants brought in the lights and prepared the table for dinner. As they were settling into their places about the miserable goat chops and the smoked tapioca pudding, Spurstow took occasion to whisper to Motrin, "Well done, David." "Look after Sowell then," was the reply. "What are you two whispering about?" said Hummel suspiciously. "Only saying that you are a damned poor host. This fowl can't be cut," returned Spurstow with a sweet smile. "Call this a dinner? I can't help it. You don't expect a banquet, do you?" Throughout the meal Hummel contrived laboriously to insult directly and pointedly all his guests in succession, and At each insult, Spursto kicked the aggrieved persons under the table, but he dared not exchange a glance of intelligence with either of them. Hummel's face was white and pinched, while his eyes were unnaturally large. No man dreamed for a moment of resenting his savage personalities, but as soon as the meal was over, they made haste to get away. Well, you know what? He was nice enough to make you a meal and do his best and get what he could with everybody being poor in this poor part of the world. And you know what? If you kept making rude comments on my meal after I spent hours cooking or having somebody cook for you and spent my good money to get that food, I probably would kick you under the table too, if not throw something at you. Just because that's rude. Me throwing something at you is probably ruder, but you know what? Don't be rude. Be appreciative of what you get. In the language of the blessed, hold on, I completely skipped the part. Don't go. You're just getting amusing, you fellows. I hope I haven't said anything that annoyed you. You're such touchy devils. Then changing the note into one of the almost abject entreaty, Hummel added, I say you surely aren't going. In the language of the blessed Jorrocks, where I dines, I sleeps, says Spurstow. I want to have a look at your coolies tomorrow. If you don't mind, you can give me a place to lie down in, I suppose. The others pleaded the urgency of their several duties next day, and saddling up, departed together. Hummel begged them to come next Sunday as they jogged off. Lowndes unbosomed himself to Mottram. And I never felt so like kicking a man at his own table in my life. He said I cheated a whist and reminded me I was in debt. Told you were as good as a liar to your face. You weren't half indignant enough over it. Oh, so that's why you kicked him too. Okay, well that was rude. I'm pretty sure he would know if he's in debt. Not I, said Mottram. Poor devil, did you ever know old Hummy behave like that before or within 100 miles of it? That's no excuse. Spurstow was hacking my shin all the time, so I kept a hand on myself, else I should have. Oh, so his friend was kicking him after he made this meal and was serving them. Well, that's an asshole move. I would have kicked him back. No, you wouldn't. You'd have done as Himmy did about Jivins. Judge no man this weather. By Jove, the buckle of my bridle is hot in my hand. Trot out a bit, and wore rat holes. 10 minutes trotting jerked out of Lowndes one very sage remark when he pulled up sweating from every pore. Good thing Spurstow's with him tonight. Spurstow's with him tonight. Yes, good man. Spurstow, our roads turn here. See you again next Sunday if the sun doesn't bowl me over. Suppose so, unless did Timberside's finance minister manages to dress some of my food. Good night and God bless you. What's wrong now? Oh, nothing. Lowndes gathered up his whip and as he flicked Mottram mare on the flank added, You're not a bad little chap, that's all. And the mare bolted half a mile across the sand on the word. In the assistant engineer's bungalow, Spurstow and Hummel smoked the pipe of silence together, each narrowly watching the other. The capacity of a bachelor's establishment is as elastic as its arrangements are simple. A servant cleared away the dining room table, brought in a couple of rude native bedsteads made of tape strung on a light wood frame, flung a square of cool Calcutta matting over each, set them side by side, pinned 2 towels to the punka so that their fringes would just sweep clear of the sleeper's nose and mouth, and announced that the couches were ready. The men flung themselves down, ordering the punka coolies by all the power of hell to pull. Every door and window was shut, for the outside air was that of an oven. The atmosphere within was only 104, as the thermometer bore witness, and heavy with the foul smell of badly trimmed kerosene lamps, and this stench, combined with that of native tobacco, baked brick, and dried earth, sends the heart of many a strong man down to his boots, for it is the smell of the great Indian Empire when she turns herself for 6 months into a house of torment. I don't understand this complete story at all. Maybe I'll understand better as I go along. I'm dyslexic, but I wish you all, and I'm going to stop there. I didn't expect that one to go as long as it did, but it did.